Many of us enjoy white-tailed deer, whether it's through wildlife viewing or recreational hunting. What you may not realize is that deer are impacting forests and the farmers that help us put food on our tables throughout New Jersey.
I farm here all my life. I'm 67 years old and grew up on a home farm, which I'm third generation. We're quite diverse. We got a dairy farm. We milk about 70 cows, and we farm about 1,200 acres of ground of corn, soybeans, wheat, oats, and hay, and they're all throughout Franklin Township. Deer, they'll travel quite a bit. They find a crop they want to eat, and they'll travel every day, every night. We see more deer during the middle of the day. We just do see other times of the day. They're changing their habits, and they find something, a food source they like. They're going to visit it as often as they can. It creates a challenge to farm. It really does. It's like a nightmare because of the fact that they're taking your livelihood away. It's become a job to manage crops because of the deer herd. You can't rotate your crops the way you'd like to. It's hard enough to make a living without any damage. It makes it twice as tough to contend with wildlife damage. And we've gone from maybe a 10% loss to the deer on this field. This past year, we lost about 50% of the crop to the deer on this field. It's a great field. It's got good soil in it, and we're basically growing corn here because of the fact that we can't grow anything else and rotate the crops here because of the deer.
In a state like New Jersey, where there's so many people and wildlife interact on a regular basis, managing deer in public open spaces as well as suburban areas is going to be critical in really reducing numbers and decreasing threats not only to farmers but to the forests and other wildlife.
We want these ecosystems to stay in balance, and we have this problem now where there is just so much deer in so many of our communities. We have these overpopulations of deer, and they do not eat the invasive exotic plants.
The two biggest impacts on the forest are white-tailed deer and invasive plant and insect species. We have white-tailed deer, large populations of white-tailed deer that have pretty much decimated the native plants other than the large trees. They've eaten all of our tree seedlings, all of our saplings, all of our other native flowers, flowering plants.
And because they're just browsing and coming in, they're taking out all those native species, creating this environment where these non-natives can really take a hold and come in, because the ironic thing is that the deer don't like the non-natives. So you would hope that they would take care of those non-natives for us, but they just aren't.
The forest was degraded by deer and invasive plants for so long that we don't have regeneration in the forest. Meaning we don't have the baby trees that are going to take over for the next generation. So we've started some programs where we're planting native trees, removing invasive species, and starting to see more and more recovery of the forest that we can't just see by reducing the deer population. So these blue markers out in the forest represent a study that was started in 1949. Long-term studies are really important because they allow us to look at what the impact of these particular aspects like deer and invasive plant species have on our forests. What we've seen has allowed us to look at how the forest has changed with these increasing deer populations, especially in the last 30 years, and the introduction of all of the invasive plant species in the last 30 years.
Over the years, especially as you got into the 80s and 90s, the deer numbers increased, the damage started getting really bad. Now it's at the point where it's so bad and the deer damage is so devastating that some of these multi-generational farm families are questioning whether they can continue to go on.
come out, you watch a crop grow all spring long. It comes out of the ground, the weather's good, the corn's growing good. The deer find it and they start eating it down. When you come out to harvest it, you're hoping for a great crop, and you find out the deer ate 50%, like particularly this field, ate 50% of it. So it's an emotional drain also.
Deer-related crop damage is something that we all feel. It's not just impacting the farmers that need help throughout the state. We're seeing higher prices in the grocery store.
Smart, science-based deer management options is a really important thing also.
We have a couple of programs. We have a deer bow hunting program where we work with the local community and local hunters who bow hunt throughout the forest and the fields surrounding the forest. And we also have a 12-foot tall deer fence that surrounds all of the old growth forest, so about 65 acres, and part of the young forests that surround the old growth.
Even with this great deer fence, there's still going to be deer that always get in. So even though we're going to have this protection of the deer fence, we're still going to have some deer protection tubes individually around each one of the trees.
By reducing the deer population as a whole in Somerset County, Franklin Township, we would have less motor vehicle accidents, less damage to our yards and gardens, as well as recovery of forests such as HMF and local forest properties.
These programs can also be combined with venison donation that'll actually benefit those in need in their local communities.
We try to coordinate with local farmers at the food bank to any excess crops that they might have. We donate ourselves. We grow sweet corn and donate to the food bank, the local food bank. I take a lot of the food bank vegetable waste from them that we spread out in the field as a fertilizer, organic matter, to save them money so they don't have to landfill it.
We actually started monitoring deer in the area before the bow management program started. At that time, there was almost 150 deer per square mile. Now, to put that in perspective, that's about 15 times what we would want to see.
We put two cameras side by side on the drone, a regular camera, mapping camera, and then a thermal camera, infrared. And we couldn't really see much with the regular camera, but the infrared worked really well, and we could see a lot of deer munching on that corn. We've been able to see the numbers coming down, and that's good. I think we started around 150 deer per square mile, and it's close to 60 deer per square mile now. And so that's quite a drop, and that's due to good deer management, maybe some disease, but that number is still way too high, unfortunately. And the numbers are still at least 6 times higher than what we want to see.
People, we need help.
For additional information, a code that you can scan with your phone that'll take you directly to the New Jersey Agricultural Experiment Station website. And you can always visit your local Rutgers Cooperative Extension County office.